Well, hello, I'm Abby.
And I'm Keith.
Welcome to our 80s Life podcast. As you guys know, or maybe you don't know, we have been doing dinner and a movie night. This is our fourth one.
Cannot believe it's already the fourth one.
I know. So be sure and check out the other ones if you missed the other ones. What movie are we watching tonight?
We are watching Fletch.
Let's do this. Okay, welcome you guys. Thank you for joining us. We need to first introduce our friends. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and then say what you thought about Fletch. All right, so we're going to start over here with Susan.
I'm Susan. I love this movie. It's such a classic and it's still funny.
G. Gordon Liddy. No, wait. Mark the mixologist.
It wasn't G. Gordon. It was just Gordon.
Gordon Liddy.
Gordo.
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 Mark the mixologist, and I loved it.
It's not Mr. Poon.
Mr. Poon.
It's Comanche Indian.
You know who I am.
Keith, what's your favorite character from Fletch?
Well,
That's I should have said just introduce yourself as your favorite character.
Well, it had to be Mr. Poon.
Mr. Poon. You stole mine. I
Oh,
like that one too.
sorry.
Or Dr. Jellyfingers.
God, I admire you.
And where does that name Poon come from?
It's
Comanche
It's
Indian.
Comanche
Oh, okay.
Indian.
Cheryl.
I really liked I don't know what you'd call him, the Hare Krishna on roller skates.
The roller skating beach bum.
And they're like, Fletch, oh my gosh, and talking to him, and he's undercover, and he really didn't look like Chevy at all.
That was probably the best disguise.
Yeah.
That was a really good costume.
Had to. The cops were after him. They were going to get him if he came out on his own.
Yeah, that's true. Travis, did you have a favorite? This is Travis, by the
Hi,
way.
Travis.
Did you have a favorite character?
You know, the aircraft mechanic,
Yeah, with the fake teeth.
just from how he pulled that off, was probably my favorite of the characters.
And the
Yeah.
novelty team.
Gordon Liddy. Gordon Liddy.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That was great.
Gordon.
Okay, so guys, I have a question for you. I didn't tell you before. I was going to ask you this. How many disguises did he have throughout the movie? Was anybody counting?
12?
That's a good guess.
17.
10.
I'm going with
Higher?
17.
It's actually 16.
You were close.
You were close.
Wow.
16. So I'm going to read them to you really quick. We've got the beach bum, the patient, Dr. Rosen, whatever, Dr. Rosen.
Dr. Rosenpenis.
Rosen. Tennis club, John Cocktail,
Toast.
Mr. Poon, which is supposed to be an SCC agent. We've got the Dream Fletch, where he was a Lakers player. He was 6'5",
6'9" with the afro.
the afro. Igor Stravinsky, Gordon Liddy, Smog Patrol Officer, waiter, speechmaker at Fred Dorfman's service dinner, Alan Stanwyck on the Pan Am flight, Don Corleone, Kavanaugh's cousin, mattress inspector, Harry S. Truman, the insurance agent, roller skating beach guy, and Ted Nugent. That was
Oh, gosh.
because when he talked to Alan, he called himself Ted Nugent. And Alan knew he wasn't Ted Nugent. He just kept playing along. He kept calling him Mr. Nugent. Did you guys catch that? All right, so 16 in all.
And they say that on the cover of the poster, there's one disguise that didn't make the cut.
Oh,
It was cut out.
really?
Yeah, and if we could get that.
We need to look at the tape.
Because there's one disguise that got cut out of the film.
We watched this on an old school VHS.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not streaming for free anywhere. But that's okay. We had VHS. We're good.
The
color was a
the
little
color and sound was fantastic,
grayscape.
right?
And we didn't have to wander around Blockbuster for a half hour before we picked it out.
We actually bought it at the record ship. And look what we found. Fletch.
Yeah, you know,
Shout out to the record ship. Hey, Les, if you're watching.
it was funny the first time we watched it because I go, Abby, can we turn on the closed captioning? She's like,
They don't have that. We turned the volume all the way up to 100 because it's not as loud as you would like it to be, and also no captions.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to actually listen, pay attention.
And you can't rewind it really quick and easy.
Not easily.
easily.
And there's this tiny little static run across the bottom the entire time. But I think that just adds to the nostalgia.
Oh,
How
yeah.
nostalgic. Yeah.
So, wait. Let me get this straight. You wanted closed captioning.
Oh, I did.
So
yeah.
the fact that I could quote it before they would say it through the entire movie and my wife kept kicking me, I was actually helping you.
But you weren't here the first time I saw it.
But we watched it last
Yeah.
week without you.
No.
We just needed you over
Now
here.
with you here, it was fine.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of talks sometimes under his breath, and so it's in really fast, so you don't catch all the stuff. So closed captioning for the hearing impaired like myself.
You got just
would be helpful.
mark captioning.
Yeah.
My wife kept kicking me. I had to be quiet. Couldn't help myself. She's
Pretty
like,
sure
"Stop
this
it."
is his favorite movie. Is this your favorite movie of all time, Mark?
It's in the top 5.
Okay.
I mean, Die Hard. How do you go past that?
Okay. But we'll save that one for Christmas.
All right.
All
This is my
right.
favorite Christmas
That's
movie.
definitely gonna be a Christmas movie. So we talked about the favorite character that Fletch played in the movie, but how about your favorite scene or favorite line? Mark, you have to have a favorite
the
line from
lines.
this movie.
My car hit a water buffalo. Can I borrow
Yeah.
your towel?
Can I borrow your towel for a sec? My car just hit a water buffalo.
Underhill's bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just charge it to the end.
Charge it to the
Steak
Underhills.
sandwich and a steak sandwich.
It's all ball bearings now.
You fellas need a
ball
refresher course.
Maybe you need a refresher course. Hey, it's all ball bearings nowadays.
Are you using the whole fist, Doc?
Oh, no. He went there.
So what's funny from this movie is the quotes and the little lines that he says that have become normal in my lifestyle. My kids will say something about they're going to go change, and I'm like, oh no, stay the same wonderful person you are today. I say that all the time. I could not remember that was Fletch until I saw this tonight.
It's just
Good point.
ingrained.
So even for you, your
it's just-
kids certainly don't know where they came from.
No idea.
have
They
no
just think
idea.
that's my
But
dad.
You used it so much, you don't even remember where it came
Exactly.
from.
It's just
got
habit.
it becomes part of our life.
It's just how I speak.
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
I talk in Fletch.
That's awesome. That's
I
some
go- I-
quality parenting.
I go on an annual golf trip. Never fails. The Underhills are brought up all the time.
Really?
We're out at a thing, and put it on the Underhills. It's always going to be said, no matter what.
Charge it to the Underhill, senor. Yeah, that's right. Do you have any caviar?
That's like Gen X code.
Right.
Right?
There you go.
All right. So
I can't figure out what I'm doing in Utah.
in light of all of this, how does Fletch balance comedy and mystery throughout the film?
I think that's a great piece of this movie, right? How many kind of comedy, mystery / thrillers? Like we've all seen it, but I hadn't seen it for a while, so I'm trying to remember exactly what the ultimate plan was and where it was going. If you think about it the first time, it really was a mystery. You really didn't know till the end what Alan's end game was. And so it really merged this crazy Chevy Chase comedy with something that kind of feels like a whodunit or a who's gonna do it type of thing. And that's, I don't know, is there another one out there that would be anything like this?
What I see is there's this juxtaposition of the stoicism that he has, but then he has this great comedic timing, delivering all these really funny things and with a serious face. And I don't know, it's just this back and forth of being serious and funny all the time.
Yeah. The mystery holds up. Like you said, you've seen it, so you already kind of know what's going to happen. But the first time, it was a solid mystery.
Okay, so let me be a complete nerd about this.
Okay.
The Fletch series is based off of a book by a guy named Gregory MacDonald. And he wrote about 10 Fletch books that were all kind of like competing with Ludlum books and things like that back in the day. So they were more serious mystery books. What's amazing about this movie is they took that book and then plugged in Chevy Chase in his humor and basically took a serious book and made it funny.
So it wasn't a comedy at all.
No, the books were not comedies at all. So if
okay.
you watch the first 2 movies, which are both based off Gregory MacDonald books, they're that way.
And if you read the book, you'd be surprised by
Right.
that.
Yeah, so I was a nerd and went and read all the books.
After the movie.
And they were great books.
Okay.
But the movie was hilarious. The books were not.
Was there no comedy at all, right?
None.
Yeah.
I read that Gregory MacDonald was, really disappointed and did not like the writing in this, and he wrote an official letter, and then the director brought him in for a special screening to see Chevy Chase, and then he was like, he kind of signed off on it, like, okay, this is really good.
That's so interesting.
And I'm going to make a bunch of money on
Yeah.
this.
I was
Probably
gonna
more than I
say,
did on the
yeah.
books.
Yeah.
We're good.
Well, so what's funny is, they made the first 2, and then they didn't do anything else. And then a few years ago, they made Netflix or somebody with a different actor did a 3rd one
Oh, really?
that's much more serious.
Weird.
More true to the books.
More true to the books, and there's a little bit. The character still has a little bit of funniness to him. It's I cannot think
Is
of
that
the
the
guy.
John Hamm one?
Yes, thank you. That's who the guy is. So he's kind of funny, but he's not quite as
He's not Chevy Chase.
goofy as Chevy Chase, as ad lib as Chevy Chase.
Okay.
But his version of it, that 3rd one, was a lot more like that book.
That's so interesting. One of the questions we were going to ask you is, which actor would you cast today if you were making an adaptation?
When I first saw it, because I just love these first 2 so much with Chevy Chase in it, that I thought, there's no way. I don't think this guy's as funny. But when I watched it, I'm like, okay, you know what? I can remember the book, and it is so much like the book.
I was telling Cheryl today, thinking about the movie, like, I can't imagine it without Chevy, though. I mean, I don't know who could quite pull off the way that he does it. It's almost like, who was Jack Tripper?
John Ritter.
John Ritter.
Yeah.
Like, Chevy has this physical comedy along with an ability to kind of connect, I think, and be a good guy and somebody you like, but can do the physical comedy, maybe somebody like that. But again, he's not, like, if you were doing it today, is there a modern actor, comedian that you could put in that role?
But I think what you're saying there and what you were just saying, and you were just saying about how it's more serious now. It's not as funny as, even with the Axel F not being as funny as the Beverly Hills Cop. What was it about these movies back in the 80s where they could have a mystery, have an action movie, but inject the humor?
Yeah, that's
We
a
don't
great,
have
We're
that
really
anymore.
missing that.
that's a
Really
great
do
point.
miss it.
That-
Hollywood, bring
yeah.
it back.
Yes.
That segues into one of the questions we had. It's like, how do you think Fletch would have been made differently today than it was made back in the 80s?
Well,
Kind of to your
Not as
point.
funny.
Yeah.
Not as funny.
Yeah.
It's still good. I'm not saying it's not good, but we miss that humor.
We need more slapstick.
More levity.
Just-
yes.
Just
Hijinks.
Good old tomfoolery.
Something to laugh about. Well, you can't be funny anymore because
You'll get in trouble or
Somebody's
canceled.
Might
offended.
offend somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point. So do you think that the comedy in this movie holds up today?
I was still laughing a lot on the couch over there.
We were laughing a lot. I think for Gen X it does. Maybe the younger audience wouldn't receive it as well. We all thought it was hilarious.
Now it's time to bring our kids in and let's watch it with them.
Okay,
and
we
see
gotta
how
try
they
that with
see
the
how they do it. I
millennials.
mean, it would be really interesting to do that. We've done that with more serious films, like the classics, the things that everybody needs to watch. It'd be funny to take your comedy, right? This is like top 5 comedy for Mark, and like bring the kids in and see what they think, and
Or if they think it's lame.
does it hold up?
Our
Yeah,
kids were raised on Airplane and Christmas Vacation.
I think they're there.
I think we've achieved it. I think we could do that. I think
We
our-
watched Blazing Saddles recently with our son, and that was a new one. So, ironically, the co-writer of this was a co-writer of Blazing Saddles. I learned that
weird.
earlier today. Yeah, kind of
of
getting
the
ready for this.
screenplay. You mean like
I'm
the
guessing,
screen-
of the adaptation.
And wasn't one of the actors from Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, the mechanic.
Yeah,
Gordo.
one of the
That's
mechanics.
Down here. Gordo down here.
mechanic guy?
Yeah, we've kind of skirted around this a little bit, but how does the movie's portrayal of investigative journalism compare to what we see today?
Oh
We have
boy.
investigative journalists in 2024. I think we have activist journalists, but
Paid journalists, actors.
I don't.
Propagandist.
Yes.
It's unfortunate because
Yes.
think about all that he went through to get his story. Like he risked his life, his livelihood and all of that just to get that story. You don't see that from journalists
No.
today.
And to get to the bottom of it and just the perseverance and
Risk. Today, I think what you probably see, it's more political. It's the ones going after that. If there is investigative journalism going on, it's more of a political nature. Like this is kind of, corruption and things that maybe that didn't seem political. Think about corporate type stuff. I mean, when's the last time there was a big journalistic bust of a corporation or of a, something like this? It's very rare.
They've gotten lazy.
yeah.
They've gotten lazy.
Yeah.
Well, was a conviction, and they were passionate about a story, and they would get to the bottom of it and do their due diligence and research. And I just don't think we see that today.
And he wasn't even taking credit for his stories because he was writing as Jane Doe.
Jane Doe.
And so it was like when you do see a big journalist step out and to, try to do a big story, it's almost like they're trying to get credit for it, trying to make a name for themselves. But Fletch wasn't doing that. He wasn't even using his actual name. Now, in the office, when he went back, they were cheering for him. His coworkers were, really, pleased.
He was a hero.
He was a hero at work, except for with his boss. But everybody else, all the other writers were like, yeah, Fletch, go get him.
But even knows Fletch with his boss. I mean, he's like, I'm not going to compromise on my story. He goes, I'm going to make sure I have all the facts and I make sure I get this right before we actually put a story out.
Yeah, because he was trying to rush it out.
Yeah, because his boss was like,
Right.
let's get it out, let's get it out.
Because
Let's be the first one.
Well, you also
It's
see
just-
the same talking points from
Yes.
all the different media outlets.
Even down
saying
to the
same
local
thing.
level. It's, I mean,
Same
I can tell you,
verbiage.
watching a local newscast and hearing a story and going, okay, but wait, why was that person there? How did that truck hit them? Or whatever it is. And there's no surrounding evidence about what was going on. It is just blather. This happened.
Talking points.
Well, and sensationalism.
yeah.
That's so interesting. Who thought that a movie like Fletch would turn into a conversation about investigative journalism? But
So
it's
I think
true.
we're the call out is to all the journalism schools. Fletch
Watch
is now
Fletch.
required watching before you graduate. If you want your diploma, you got to watch Fletch to maybe bring some of that back.
How about if you're not
Okay.
at least that good as a reporter, you should just not get in
Right.
business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And
I
have
agree.
Plenty of disguises.
If you don't get on roller skates and put a bald wig
Dedication.
thing on, you're not worthy.
You're not willing to find out about facts before you go to print, and you shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Amen.
All right. We have to talk about Chevy Chase. So Chevy Chase plays Irwin Fletcher. So what makes Fletch a memorable character? Did Chevy make the character, do you
I
think?
think he did. I think
Okay.
it's
He's
Chevy
just
Chase.
endearing.
His facial expressions, his comedic timing reminds me a lot of Eddie Murphy, and I know that was just very recent, but just their ability to ad lib, to add the physical comedy, they're just funny.
Yeah. And they both, got their roots on SNL.
True.
Put the final Christmas tree ornament on the tree. No problem.
Comedic timing.
On the fly,
On the
live.
fly, live. Yeah.
Improv.
Improv.
Totally.
Yeah. Well,
And
one-
you see that in the movie. You some of those things that happen, you're like, that had to have been improv.
That's
It's
what would be
so
really
brilliant.
fun to know. So, again, doing a little bit of research today, the director was hired specifically with some belief that he could manage Chevy on set. And so what they ended up doing is doing takes as written, and it was all agreed to. So we'll do takes as written, and then so Chevy agreed to do some takes as written, and then we'll film some takes with you doing you. And then would be so interesting is to go through the script and look at the things that were scripted and the things that were Chevy doing Chevy. I don't know if that exists anywhere, but that would be fascinating.
Wouldn't that be a gold
Because if that was
mine?
part of the whole strategy, there's got to be a whole bunch of stuff in there that he did.
Being somebody that edits video with YouTube, it's like, oh my gosh, the editor. When you think about it, that's who really has the final decision on which of those jokes is going to make it and which is going to be on the cutting room floor. And so the editor of this movie, or editors, would have had a lot of, a lot to work with.
Yeah.
It must have been really fun and hard all at the same time.
Right,
To
right.
decide, what was the funniest one, or what was the best one, or what carries the story.
And do you test it with an audience before
I think they do.
cut it or leave it?
I mean, I think they usually test it, and then sometimes they make changes.
Well, think how many things they had to edit because they would do something and everybody would just lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, can you
How did
imagine
they not?
acting with Chevy Chase or Eddie Murphy
Can't
and then
imagine.
saying something and you're
hold
trying to read a line and you're trying to be the bad guy and hold a gun on Eddie and
Right.
he says something and you're just like shaking,
Or
laughing.
gives you that look.
Or yeah,
I bet Moon River was.
Hello.
You know, if I did some sit-ups in the morning or bent over like this, I'd probably feel 100% better. Moon River. Whew. Thank you, Doc.
I bet that scene was so hilarious to film.
Oh, how did they keep the set quiet?
Yeah, no kidding. And the doctor had to have been
Oh, he was
just down there,
nailed.
just
And you didn't see
cracking up.
him at all.
No, you couldn't
back
see
there.
his face, so he had to be laughing.
Just relax.
he's laying down on the floor trying to read his lines and he can't be on camera because he's dying laughing.
He's shaking. You can watch
Right.
him just
Dr.
laughing.
Jellyfingers.
Have you ever done time?
You ever serve time?
If a guy's got a shotgun on you and you pull the old "you better tie your shoe first" trick, I mean, it works every time.
I'm calling the cops.
You want to call the cops? Call the cops. You better tie your shoelaces first.
He first assessed that guy.
I think he read the room on that one.
Didn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed. He's like, I'm gonna pull.
I got one.
I'm gonna pull the shoelace trick.
The old shoelace trick.
The mattress police trick didn't quite work.
Didn't go over.
And the old
But it
kick him
almost
in the
did.
groin.
So it kind of
That's the
like
thing, it
almost worked.
Right before that was one of my favorite parts, which I feel like was probably ad-libbed, where he gets his head caught in the light fixture and then he's all that gets me every time.
That's a classic, like John Ritter. Or
That could be a John Ritter moment,
I
yeah.
remember.
And that you just wonder, did they literally script this, like walk into the light and stick your head in it, or
I
did
don't
it
think
just
so.
happen and he kind of went with it? You
Like,
know?
why was everything so
6'4"?
low in
I
that
know he
house?
seemed unusually tall.
We watched that scene and we all were like, how tall is he?
Well, that's
Of course,
even
we Googled it.
that's even when he was in the jail cell. He hit his head walking
Yeah.
in.
He must
You know?
be.
He must
So
be-
how tall was he?
6'4".
Oh, okay. He's tall.
6'4". Okay.
But maybe they designed the scene to
make it that
to
way.
make so he could do funny things like that, like run into the light fixture. And,
Like, we're going to make everything slightly low.
yeah.
Maybe.
Gina Davis. Which
Oh, yeah.
I know. I love Gina Davis. And
Larry?
Love your body, Larry.
I thought they kind of had a thing, but then
Yeah.
at the end he was with
other girl,
Stanwyck's.
yeah.
I wondered
Dale.
about that too.
And she
I think
seemed
they were
fine
just,
with it.
Yeah,
they were just
It's
friends.
like, oh, maybe.
Well, if you
they're
watch
just
Fletch
friends.
Lives,
Yeah.
he's moved on as well. So
Right, that's true, very
that's
true.
got to be
That's
part of
very
the that's
true.
part of the thing,
His
right?
persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess things didn't work out that
And
well.
he was
in Rio.
already still
Gail.
dealing with the divorce and the failed marriage and all
Well, maybe
that.
that's what makes him such a good investigative journalist, because he doesn't have anything to be attached to.
I'm just thinking Chevy Chase 80s sex symbol.
Oh,
think?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
That's the first thing that comes to my
definitely.
I
mind.
don't think of that.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy
but-
seeing Gina Davis. This was
Yeah.
before Beetlejuice. Shoot, it may have been one of her early
Might have been an early
roles.
breakout role.
It
I'm
may
thinking.
have been. Beetlejuice would have been a few years later when she got really big. They're going to have a new one of those this year, by the way.
Oh.
Pretty excited for
And
that.
then George went, because
George
Cheers,
went.
I thought this was before Cheers, but it was after.
After.
After Cheers had started. That surprised me, I guess.
Yeah, he plays, was
Fat
it
Sam.
Fat Sam? Yeah, Fat Sam. A minor role, but still, it was kind of fun to see his familiar face. Like, we all said, oh, there's
Norm.
the guy
There's
from,
Norm.
there's Norm from Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there were any other famous people. The police chief,
Joe Don Baker.
Oh, Joe Don Baker, yeah.
Joe Don Baker,
Classic bad guy.
And
You
he was
said it, I
great.
think Cheryl said it. Like,
classic bad guy.
Central casting.
We need a bad guy.
Now, wait a minute. Joe Don Baker was originally the good guy in Walking Tall.
Okay.
Oh.
Man.
Well,
He was a tough guy.
it is fun to see faces that became more famous later.
Then Alan Stanwyck was in
Animal House.
Animal
Animal
House.
And Dreamer.
would have been
Can't leave out
before.
Dreamer. Tim, if you're watching,
And
that's a
Dreamer.
good plug for the bowling movie.
Don't know that movie.
Everybody's at home Googling right
Who's
quick.
this?
Dreamer.
Dreamer. What's that?
Speaking of Cheers, I'm kind of a Cliff Clavin here for this group. So
Do it.
It's a little known.
Oh, you're going to give us a fact? I was waiting for you to give us a fact.
Tim Matheson, Dreamer. Is that enough?
Okay, Travis, you had something you were going to.
No, but music. You were mentioning music.
Okay, yeah. Harold Faltermeyer. And this sounds so similar to Axel F. I mean, it's several months later. He had a huge hit with Axel F. So, I mean, it's not the same song, but it's very
pretty
similar.
close.
Very similar.
I think we were all kind of humming along Axel F, and it was
Well, and it's
so
and it's
familiar.
everywhere in the movie. Like every time somebody's not talking, there's that music's in the background, just like Axel.
Yeah.
Right. Or just like
The
Beverly
big
Hills Cop.
difference though, Beverly Hills Cop had a pretty standout soundtrack, whereas this song really just had that one song over and over again and didn't have very many other songs other than the Stephanie Mills Bit by Bit. But other than that, it didn't have like the power behind the other soundtrack from Beverly Hills Cop.
yeah.
They had a lot of hits on that one. This one seemed a little bit lower budget, or maybe they spent all their budget on Chevy Chase.
Or on the opening scene for Beverly Hills Cop.
I was going to say, compare that car chase scene
Yeah.
to this one, and it's like, this one's like nothing.
Yeah.
It was a good car chase scene, though.
It was still good.
It was good.
It was a good scene. They didn't destroy dozens of cars like Beverly Hills Cop one, but yeah, it was still a solid car chase. And it was funnier because the kid with the braces, his face, that was great.
And there was only one car, the one they were in, that had any kind of aesthetic to it at all. The car designers in that era just, wow. I mean,
Very
God, these are
boxy.
ugly, long, gross-looking cars. Well, talking about music, we've got a little-known fact that, again, we found out a little bit today on that might blow your mind. But a song that was removed from this soundtrack that was supposed to be in it was in another famous movie the next year, the Top Gun theme. So the very beginning theme with the
What?
guitar
Yeah.
was supposed to be in this movie, was the theme for Fletch.
That makes 0 sense.
0 cents. And another guy that people might know, Billy Idol, the guitar player for that song, was playing with Billy on different things in the studio. And Billy was working with this guy and heard that song and knew they were working on both Fletch and Top Gun. And supposedly, Billy Idol's the one that said, "That's your Top Gun theme. That needs to go in the Top
Good
Gun
job,
movie."
Billy Idol.
Thank you, Billy Idol. Wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
We love Billy. That was our last concert that we went and saw. Billy Idol.
Wow.
It was
You
amazing.
should have shouted out, "Hey, what about the Top Gun thing?"
Yes.
See if you would have told a
Good
story
call.
or if you
Now
got
you
credit
tell
for it.
me. Right?
Okay, I am no longer Cliff Clavin. He has just taken that over.
That isn't that crazy though?
He's the Cliff Clavin of music for
Wow.
sure.
And I'm like, where would you even put that song in
I
this
was
movie?
thinking at the end when they're walking on the beach, maybe just going out into the sunset. You
Still,
know?
it's such a
But
dramatic
still, it doesn't fit.
song.
so much.
I was actually really surprised when we were doing our research for this last movie. I didn't realize Harold Faltermeyer wrote these Axel F and the Fletch theme and Top Gun. I knew about the other two, but I didn't know about Top Gun. It's so different from his other songs. It's just day and night from Axel F. It's such a great, like you could just picture the jets flying. It's so dramatic. That's a
Couldn't
great
imagine another
soundtrack.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't imagine another
He's
song.
a very accomplished, and obviously he has a wide variety of skills that he's able to write music for such a variety of movies.
Where'd he come from?
He's from Germany.
But how'd they find him? Is he somebody's cousin? He was invited to a Christmas party. I mean, who hears this guy doing something, or does he send in a demo tape to a movie and they go, "We need this guy to do soundtracks"? I mean, because he was everywhere in the 80s.
Yeah, that's a good question. How did he get discovered?
Get one win,
Yeah, true.
and
I
they
don't-
keep calling.
I'm going on the Bloodhound research.
Okay.
Okay,
What was
let
his
us know.
first one?
That's it.
Report back.
Report
found
back
him?
to us. Why don't you write a
Yeah.
report for that and get back to us on that?
I mean, think about it, though. Musicians, right? They're playing in a bar, they're playing in a club, somebody hears them. This guy does soundtracks on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Where's he come from? It's not
I
like
have
he's in a
no
bar
idea.
one night playing keyboard.
But you know what? Keyboards were really like innovative back then. It was
okay.
a newer
You did
deal.
not go out to a piano bar and hear dun 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 dun.
No.
On a synthesizer.
While you're having a
Synthesizers
old-fashioned.
were very
To relax.
innovative. I didn't look up how it was received by audiences and critics and all that.
I think it was Roger Ebert that gave it a 2.5 stars out of 4.
Oh, yikes.
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah, but Siskel and
Two
Ebert.
thumbs down
I
there.
remember being in the 80s and every time Siskel and Ebert liked a movie thinking, this
They
sucks.
probably hated Beverly Hills Cop too.
Yeah. They,
You know what?
they
You're
liked Gandhi and,
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves.
Right, there
Let's
you
watch
go.
Kevin
The
Costner
Dramatic.
Color Purple.
4 hours in a cowboy outfit, ride around and say nothing.
Right.
Oh, it's a dramatic,
Vince
great
Costner.
movie.
That's true. Our generation typically didn't always agree with the movie critics. But that's interesting because it's a cute movie. It's fun.
Well, I think his point was there was a lot of just the same scenes, like disguise after disguise, but we really couldn't really identify with the person of Irwin Fletch or Fletcher.
Well, that's true. I mean, we don't really get a lot about his personal life. He wears disguises. That's his thing. But I mean, that's what's fun about it.
All right, I think I know what the answer is going to be already, but we're going to close this out with either a thumbs up or a thumbs down for Fletch. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All right, 6 thumbs up.
6 thumbs up from us. So if you haven't seen Fletch lately, Go out and get you the VHS. Get you a VCR.
At an estate sale.
Yes.
It's easy. No problem.
And-
Make you some jellyfinger cookies.
That's right. Hey, don't forget to check out our other videos that we made on Dinner and a Movie.
Yes. And thank you for watching, and thank all of you for being here.
for
And
having us.
we will see you next time.